Yeah, boy.
All right.
Yeah. Had some people buy Trump. They wanted me to cover it all up. I was like, man, why I
What?
gotta cover it all up for you like that, man? Just to
Really?
print it in by the original. By the print.
Uh-huh.
But I'm just polarized our society is now because there's nothing more than people that happen, I would just say, to interfere.
Okay.
So people 40 and below, they have a different aspect on what's going on than if you talk to somebody 45 and above.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think when even me, one of my little cousins told me I was kind of cold. I was like, no, I'm not cold. I grew up around certain mind states and types in certain era.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see certain things and you hear certain things and then you signed up for something, it's like, basically the attitude is what's next because the boat still has to go forward.
Right. It's
Right.
going to keep
The
going.
doctor, yeah, the American boat has to keep on going. So I just tell people just try to figure out which way you think they're going
Mm-hmm.
to make yourself feel at ease by looking at the occurrences of what's going on. That's all.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
everybody, if you're tuning in, this is Nadine O, and I'm here with Don Stevens.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised. I'm actually in Wildwood Crest, New Jersey. And I want you to
Wow.
tell me, how is the signal? And do you hear an echo, Don?
No, no echo over here. Just a small little, like a 1 second delay with your
Oh, there
movements.
is?
But no
Okay.
echo. Okay.
All right. So hopefully, got my router here. Let me see if I can get signal a little better there. So I apologize. We're trying new things, trying to get out to new locations. I also wanted to apologize about last weekend. Had a little family friend emergency, some health things going on. But we appreciate you tuning in to Let's Paint and Draw Along and our uh, we're featuring something from nothing. And I guess this would be 16,
I
and we're
think so.
going strong.
Yeah, I just lost count. I just be thinking about how we're gonna keep on introducing when you come up with the thought of where we want to go, and then how we're
Mhm.
gonna present it towards our group and keep us moving forward. You know?
Yes. Yeah, and before we started the live, I was talking to Don about how sometimes you can't really control the things that happen to people close to you. And it kind of brings up emotions that you can't fix things. Like I'm a fixer, and I can't fix everything. And and it kind of brings up emotions and takes some of the kind of drains you as well. And we were thinking about what things we could do to help get that out, like what Don says, get it out like a fart. And actually, Don, you said you don't hold it in, you let it out like a fart.
Yeah.
And I was like, sometimes I try to hold it in.
Right, and that's the problem. You can't hold it in, man. You hold these type of things in. We know what physically that can mean. You know what I mean? But if you hold in certain emotional states, we don't really delve into what that can do to you physically. That's why I say let it out, decompress, let it go. That's why perfection is a lie, repetition is true. Because long as you accept that idea, you always have a chance of working on it. It's never really
So,
going to be super finalized. You can get it to a point of finality or 100%, but
mhm.
sometimes in the matter you have to realize and understand, and you're working towards back to 100%. So what would you accept? That's the first thing, just like in your artwork. What would you accept? See what I'm saying? Because that's what it's all about. How many times do you run through a thought or idea or emotion, to be able to bring some type of finality to it, you know what I mean? Some type of resolution, to be resolute. Well, I like to talk to people about how the art can help you out in that way too as well, Because a lot of times everybody wants to think about the good times of doing beautiful paintings and all of that. That's why I got my man Frankenstein up there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all off version. You know what I mean? It's not all the way finished. I got to put the stitches on his head and everything. But if you think about Frankenstein, his story is pretty much a tragic story. You know what I mean? Think about it. He was made, then he was lonely.
Right.
Then he wasn't real like Pinocchio. Nobody wanted to think he was a real man. He said he was something else. You're dead. You're not supposed to be alive. And then he wanted to love because he was lonely. And then she screamed, ah! And then he was lonely again. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. Look at how that emotional roller coaster is there, man. And we don't want to talk about the end of the movie because it gets even bad after that. You know what I mean? Now everything is, he kills his master by mistake because he's in a fury and rage of emotion and passion. You know what I mean? I think he kills the bride of Frankenstein too as well. Can't remember. In certain versions, she didn't. In certain other versions, the town people did because she was an abomination. Oh, wow. All this turmoil. But then let's think about it. If he was in that situation, how would you handle it? I'm going to do this one on the board. And look at it on the board as a concept, as an idea. This one's all about you, buddy. How, in something from nothing, how could you use this to get an emotion out? To help you resolve an emotional state, to help you look into an emotional state. This is where it becomes, I like to use the existential a lot. What's that all about? Come on, Nadine, what's the existential all about? Everything we've been talking about, symbolism and stuff like that.
Yes.
So now we would have to have basic symbols that would describe things. So that's what I would say people at first, like, okay, let me put this up here. But how would you say, universal square, the rectangle and square there. How's that looking? Did I go out of screen?
Looking good.
All right, cool. So then what I would do, you can have another page where you would think about what the symbols would be. Like, say, for instance, if I'm in love and I'm brokenhearted, we can use the basic idea of, and maybe you're not totally separated from the person, but maybe you leave it like that, attached, torn apart. You just start making a file of symbols that what that would mean to you. Or what does that mean at you at the present moment? Does it mean that you would have to have a knife, and what would the knife look like? What I say to people is just make up things that may represent the anger or the emotion that you're going through. Now, we're not making anything just yet. We're just making our catalog of symbols based upon what our emotions are. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, like you throw one out there, Nadine, and we'll try to draw it on the screen here, and you can draw it at home, but throw one out there. What emotion would you be having at this point that you can make a symbol out of?
Tears.
So what aspect of tears? Crying? Hysterical crying? You see?
Maybe not hysterical.
Okay. Maybe just a couple of drip drops.
Yeah.
Maybe that can mean, sadness. Maybe we'll have it hit the floor or hit what we say is a floor and collect. You see? That can be a symbol for tears. Maybe another one can be an eye or what looks like an eye.
Mm-hmm.
See? And then, you see that?
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah, put some lashes on it. And an extra eyelid there. Maybe the eyebrow. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Just think about it, everybody. What symbols would you make based upon your emotions
Mm-hmm.
or the emotional state of loss? Mhm.
Yeah.
Or the emotional state of, how would you say, um, defeat.
Mm. Defeat.
Yeah. You know, I went through that a little bit with my mother passing, you know. I was
Mm-hmm.
there in the room, she passed in my arms, but
Wow.
I was given CPR and all that good stuff, and I brought her back twice. Even the ambulance guy said, man, you couldn't ask for anybody to do it better, but I still didn't feel satisfied
Mm-hmm.
because I felt that I didn't do a good job because she didn't stay.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So it took
Yeah.
me about a year to get past that idea, everybody. Now, how did I get past it? I painted about it. I just never showed the paintings.
Mm-hmm.
But I painted about the whole experience and I made symbols like this, things like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine making one for shock. Think about it. You may have to deal with shock and awe.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You-
yeah.
You're really good
You're
with
really
the
good with
eyes.
the eye. Well, yeah, that's where everything transpired. I learned that earlier on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that from my mother, really. She said, you know, you pay attention. You look people in their eyes, look them in their face.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to the Marine Corps, it even worked out even better because they were shocked how I was able to look at them at any given point in time, no matter what was going on. So much so that when they came down to Paris Island, they saluted my mother and my Aunt Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for training me mentally the way that I was. So it's like, think about the situation you may have been through and what that was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you have things like this in your repertoire and you build them up, placement is everything. Think about it. How would you deal with time? From left to right or top to bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you make something that would deal with time, like how the Dadaists would do,
Mm-hmm.
time slipping away, you
I
know?
I was thinking of a clock, and all the numbers are outside of the
Yeah,
clock.
that's the type of stuff you're talking. But what would that mean as far as what you're saying about time then? You see what I'm saying? If I do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do like you said, oh, I'm gonna take it a step further. I'm gonna put all the numbers down here.
Mm-hmm.
And then make 12 bigger. What would that mean? Time
Oh,
had still. Could it
or
mean
it
that time
stopped.
is, yeah, or when, because of the second hand and the hour hand, it
Mm-hmm.
looks like it's at a 2 o'clock position. Could that mean that that's when all time stopped?
Stop.
Like how you
Yeah,
were
that's what I
saying?
was saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So could we cross out? I could cross out the time, the
Cross out.
numbers down there that will replicate that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see how you can make symbols and see how you're starting to lighten up about a situation now. Because it's like it gives you a possibility of thinking it out,
Mm-hmm.
laying it out. So now that you can look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that you can look at it, you can organize it some type of way. You
But
see, there is.
Don,
Mhm. Yes,
I was always hesitant about doing sad art.
I understand. Because we never talk about it as a society until you get into the hierarchies of of society. That's when you're
Mm-hmm.
at your university levels and things like this. Whereas now you have an artist dealing with a certain idea of mankind or
Mm-hmm.
society, like how a Marilyn Monroe series was for de Kooning and
Mm-hmm.
for whatchamacallit, Andy Warhol,
Mm-hmm.
in the tragic series that Andy Warhol did. Just as an example, I'm not saying that that's the only example, but that's the one that comes to my head from my training that they
Right.
gave you first off before you started looking at other ideas of that. And before that, you have German expressionism, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then before that, you can look at our presidential stuff. You can go to right here in Pennsylvania when they have the 4th of July and they open up all the malls and everything down here. You
Mm-hmm.
can see where the paintings are, where they have the how would you say, the Masonic paintings that are basically based upon symbolism, like how we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they may do something like, hold on, let me get a marker and show what I'm talking about real quick, so that we have an idea of where we're going with the idea of symbolism and metaphor. Because this would be a metaphorical or satirical idea. But say, for instance, if I did want to talk about electricity, I just would do something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then put a cloud there. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then after that, to me, if I need some more, then now I just put the lightning strike.
Mm.
If it needs more of an idea, now you put a makeshift in there. Like it's on the white. You know, think about
Yeah.
it this way for all my newer type of people that's thinking in today's terms. What type of icons would you make for your emotions? What emojis would you make for your emotions?
I know. I think I'll be making some brand new ones.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of those, though. That's the whole purpose of what we're doing right now. Like, notice, I'm not trying to put it in any type of organized way right now. I'm just trying to take a page or take a moment and then draw a bunch of symbols that represent the emotions that I may be going through.
Mhm. Now, you mentioned earlier, this is something that you use often.
Yes.
Um, and
In
it's
the
usually, go ahead.
it's usually in therapeutic situations. Even when it doesn't matter if you went through something or went through something where it gives you the, because I've done it with soldiers and things like
Yeah.
this too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Done it with soldiers. I've done it with trauma patients, people that's been through, the grape situations and things like this.
Mm-hmm.
People that have been through storms and lost things, and they want to relocate into our area. I was fortunate enough to be able to have a session with people in those type of situations. And
Mm-hmm.
these are things where you considered, in my situation, an independent art instructor, coach, or therapist at that point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You come into the situation, and this is what you do. You either present a symbol or you get them to evoke a symbol based upon their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't push. Basically, what you do is you present the thought. And then if they
Oh.
have a hard time starting, you give an example like what I'm doing now, making your own catalog of emotional symbols.
Mm-hmm.
It can be live time, like what you're going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a series of dots a certain way. I've had people do different and various things to show different emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you get a nice symbology or symbol chart going on one page, then you would flip it and now you start placing these thoughts based upon how you're feeling about the emotion that you went through.
So,
Maybe
so, So like what we're doing right now is like making a symbol chart, which you just mentioned.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and even that can look like a piece of artwork. So it's just a page where you just
Sure
dumping out
does.
your emotions. You know, like I can put broken heart. You see what I mean? Just write it in what that is. Emotion killer.
Mm.
You see? Sadden.
Mm-hmm.
Shock and awe. You know? Frozen time. Dead or living. That means dead or living time. Could mean the time that stopped. Stop for that moment. You know what I mean? Whatever you went to, it seemed like that 2 minutes or whatever that car accident was that you went through. That 2 minutes seemed like 5 or 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But it really was only 2 minutes. Because I dealt with people that had real bad car accidents on the highway too as well.
And that time.
Yeah. And then how would
Crazy.
you show that? You see, you can show it as a symbol or you can show it as a placement on the page.
Mm-hmm.
See, you can use left to right, top to bottom, right to left, diagonal movements to say what time may be. Because remember, you're doing it on a flat page and you're trying to describe what time was or is at that particular moment.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe make symbols based upon the place, the environment. You know what I mean? I mean, for lack of a better one, you know what I mean? I can say, you know, I can put just the golden arches from McDonald's, you know what I mean, for right now.
Don,
You
you
know,
always take us to food.
yeah, it's like one of the best, man. You know what I mean? Then, you know, what if I turned it upside down? That means I'm anti, you know, takeout food. You see what I'm saying? What if I put a cross through it? You know what I mean? I'm totally against. Or what if I put a dotted line through the golden arch? That means that every now and then I may come in and get a glass of water and the salad. You know what I mean? But I'm not really for it. I'm not. See, a dash line can mean so many different things. You know what I mean? Because a dash line has separation, so it doesn't mean that your thought is final on whatever it is you're saying. You see what I mean? Like, all right, imagine. Look, I'm gonna do it on the side over here. Watch, I'm gonna do it over here on the side over here. Let's see what you think. All right, we'll take the heart, right? So we'll say the heart. This is when the heart is full, right? Then okay, what if it's you know somebody just partly lied to you? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what if they really lied to you to where they had a kid or something behind you? But you still don't want to let go of it. They still didn't, you know, deflated all the way. It's the
That's
form though.
yeah.
You see, but now let's look at it like this. What if you look past the little broken heart? Then I can do a dash line through it to say, it hurt me, but you know what I'm saying? I still love this person. It's not what
Mm-hmm.
I wanted the person to do, he or she.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not totally out. You see what I'm saying about a dash line? I'm not totally out. But I'm not
Mm-hmm.
totally all the way in because there's holes in the game. I really still love you now. You see what I mean? How symbols can, because if I put a solid line through, everybody will say that, oh, you don't want that heart or you don't want that love or something was wrong with that heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I give you one side of it that's looking like it's still a heart, and the other side is deflating. That means that's got to mean it's deteriorating, right? Because it's like a balloon and it's being
Mm-hmm.
deflated.
Yeah.
To push the idea even more, I'll put the little what everybody knows as being a balloon at the bottom of this, like so, like this, and like this. You see?
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Because that's saying, okay, you're broken hearted, but what's going on? It's deflating you. What's happening here?
Going out like a fart.
Yeah, there you go. You see where I'm going with this? You got it. You got it. That was a good one. That was a good one. I don't think too many
I'm
people is going
sorry,
to
y'all.
be. I'm enjoying it. I enjoy it because I love the philosophy. Let it go, man. I'm being honest. Sometimes you just got to have the ability to let things go. It just has to be, to be able to move forward because you don't
Yeah,
want to stay in the same state as you were an hour ago with the matter. Don't do
I'm
you want to?
trying, y'all.
Yeah,
I'm
no, it's a
trying.
gradual thing. I'm not going to say it. Some people it's instant. Some people have more of a control over what they cells can take and their emotional, fortitude. But
Hmm.
the average amount of individuals don't have that ability until they get late in their life. So earlier on, that
Well,
is the battle on how to. Yeah, that's the battle. But long as you're willing to identify it, see it, and then use something like what I'm talking about to get to
hmm
that point
hmm
where you can look at all those inconsistencies on whys and how you say you like to be the person that resolves, fix, nurtures, soothes. But what happens if you don't? Is that a reflection on you? That's what I had to learn. Okay,
hmm
when I was trying to keep my mother here,
hmm
yeah, I knew certain things, but I didn't know everything.
hmm
Like that's what I had to bring myself to understand. Like I don't understand how to make a cell rejuvenate and turn back on and become
hmm
electrified with aquatic energy to bring
hmm
it back to a state. Yeah, I know what to do to the body to try to bring it back, but I don't know it to that point. So then why, beat myself up to that point? Just to let you guys have one where you can think about, you know what I mean? Like how many times have you really been in a situation where you wanted to be the person that, changed or solved or resolved the matter, but
hmm
for some reason the matter just could not get resolved?
Yeah.
Or the matter just happened the way you was fighting for it not to go. And unfortunately, like in my situation, you had transition.
hmm
You know what I mean? How would you deal with that? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't mean that you did something wrong. That's what I had to realize.
Right.
I had to realize that first. Like, no, you didn't do anything wrong now. It's not like you picked her up and slammed her around the room. You better wake up, Vicky. You better get your behind up. You know what I mean? I'm
hmm
tired of you in this mess. And I was attacking her based upon some type of eerie hurt I had. Then yeah, no,
hmm
that would be wrong. But then if I used all the knowledge and everything that I had at that time to be able to pump on the body to do the things that was necessary at that point, then that's all I can, how would you say, muster out of myself. Did I have to be acceptance that I really truly did everything that I truly wanted to do and try to do? It just wasn't everything that could be done.
Yeah.
You see, and that's the hard part for all humans to come to. I tell you, it took me a year to just get comfortable with it. It's taken me a lifetime to just really be, honestly, okay with myself with it. It's still going to be
hmm
vestige aspects that's still going to feel that way. And that's with
hmm
every human being, but long as I believe you're over 80% okay with the matter and you understand that you did everything honestly that you could do. Because it's only you that's going to know if you really did everything that you could do.
Yep, because you were there.
Right. If you was live there and you did everything, you remembered it, because I know I remember mine, and I did everything that I could do. All the
Hmm
information I had in my head, even the paramedics said, no, man, you did everything we did before you would have to use, you know, chemicals at that point.
hmm
So yeah, the whole thing with that, everybody, is that you would make a symbol for it. So what I did was I made a symbol for everything. I just don't show it.
hmm
Because I don't. That's the whole private thing for me. If it's private for you, then you don't have to ever show those drawings. They're for you.
Okay.
They're for you. They don't have to be shown to the world. You know, that's another thing I tell people when we're in a session like that. It's like, no, you don't have to show everybody. This is your work. It's for your
Mhm.
healing. Now, if you want the person to heal with you, then sure, share away. But do you
Mhm.
have to? No, because this is personal. It's yours.
Right.
It's for
Right.
you to heal. Somebody may
Right.
look at it and might not understand that closing eye with the tears coming out of it.
Mhm.
You know, they may not understand my butcher knife, my emotional killer.
Mhm.
Because now I would apply that emotional killer to everything. It's almost like how you would do a movie.
Mhm.
You would have all the props and everything and costumes and everything ahead of time. And then you would start putting together that movie. So in this time in doing something from nothing, that's why I say when I do sessions like that, or I'm in a therapeutic situation, or I'm with somebody that's trying to, how would you say, get over Alzheimer's or dementia, early dementia, trying to bring that even kill, do things
Mhm.
like this with them.
Yeah, you've had
Because
some really interesting stories about people kind of coming alive when you show
yeah,
up.
because I'm willing to do things that I'm not going by a particular book to do. I'm going based upon you reacting as a human being.
Mhm.
That's pretty much what it is. It's a certain, it's names for that certain type of therapy now that I found out about, but I'd rather keep it where we're at, you know, how we're talking. The main thing
Just
is
every
how do you,
day.
yeah, that's what it is. It's how do you connect with your everyday? And the
Mhm.
more ways that you can do it that's based upon what man has done already, the better off you are. So you have
Mhm.
petroglyphs, you have caveman drawings, you know, you have intricate drawings like the pharaonic drawings on the walls, the Kemetic and Cometian and Sumeric drawings. You can make your work that intricate to where you have certain meanings for certain lines that you do.
Mhm. Mhm.
When you put those things together, it means a certain emotion, or you're describing a certain emotional state that you was in that you're trying to get past.
Mhm. And
So in other
anybody can
words,
do it
yeah.
with just a
Well,
book
that's what
like
you
this.
want anybody and everybody to do it because that's the best way to deal with any emotional state. Get it out, look at it.
Yep.
Imagine if you're mad at somebody and you trying to figure out why you mad. You like what's
Mhm.
making you so furious when you hear the person's name? You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, then now you do what we're doing now. You make your symbols to say why it is. You know, you have to be
Mhm.
accountable and honest to yourself. Like what you know, really be able to say to yourself, what's making you stir? What's
Mhm.
stirring the pot?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times that's another symbol that I have. Because I'll do it real big on a page sometimes in sessions. So I'll have a pot that I'll do like this, you know,
Mhm. Ooh.
and then I'll put a spoon on the outside,
Uh-huh. No.
and then I'll put a spoon on the inside.
Mhm.
This can be taken several different ways. You can say what's stirring your pot, which means your emotions,
Mhm.
or who are you letting stir your emotions?
Ooh. You can put a little question mark.
Yeah, you can put question mark out here if you want to, but a lot of times that's what I
You
do. And
don't
I
need
would
to.
draw this on a page
Mhm.
and then Xerox it for the session. And that mainly just means who is stirring your pot, who is stirring your emotions, who do you allow stir your emotions.
Mhm.
So imagine if I just did it like a small little symbol like that, or I just did it as a whole thing on a page. That's a session right there. And this is what
Mhm.
I used to do when I was in special education,
Mhm.
K through 12, in the behavioral sciences for adjudicated use. You'll be shocked with a simple little drawing like that, how it triggers things in people when they're in a
Mhm.
situation where they can relay something to you or let go of a certain emotion and then draw it. The main thing is you're not judging any other
Mhm.
drawing. You're trying to observe it. You're analyzing it with the person. You're not judging. Judging and analyzing is two different things.
Right. Mhm. I
And that
just
would be
wrote
the
down
session.
something. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You were going to say?
No. What's that? What you wrote down?
I think it'll make a great T-shirt. And it would be, let art stir your emotions.
Yeah, that's what it does. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
The
next
art,
T-shirt.
but that's what the arts is all about. The arts is supposed to be the spot where it's either it stirs your emotions or you stir your emotions based upon the art form that you chose. See, so that's all the way through music and cooking. I look at all of it as art. I don't separate it like how we do in our society. Everything's compartmentalized. No, it's all one. It's all art. It's all expression.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why when people say, "Wow, you're good in this and you're good in that," I said, "No, I'm just observant and I'm willing to apply certain things that you learn through one modality and apply to another because you're willing to say that all things is one." If you're really able to realize that, then it starts to make it better. It's like that's what I call the creative colonic. You remember how I say that a lot of times off and
A
on?
lot of times.
I say, hey, you need a creative colonic. And sometimes that checks and sees what the temperature is of the individual in front of you. If they laugh, but they still look kind of stressed, then you know they kind of understand, but they were shocked that you put it in that way. Then if they stand offish, then you can tell like they're really, nah, that's a negative to them. Either which way, you still need a creative colonic where you just sit down and just let things come out of you with no judgment. That's it. Just let it go. The better you let it go, the more nastier it is in the beginning, and at the end, it gets kind of, easier. You know what I mean. So you see how much fun you having with it, yeah. But it's the truth, honest, everybody. It's the truth. It's a study. It's a couple of studies out there if you want to go and check them. That says that 9 times out of 10, seriously, if a person that you don't know that you're encountering in your community or in the society that you're moving and traversing through, that 9 times out of 10, they're either constipated, dehydrated, or they might have acid reflux or something in between those 2 points.
Yeah.
And then when you check it, you might see it that if somebody's angry at you from nowhere that don't know you, like you really got to question that. And I know I've used it a lot of times on people in the public arena. They just start laughing or they walk around and throw the F-bomb at you or call you an a-hole. I'll take that all day because you left me alone. That was the whole mission. I don't know you and you're angry out of nowhere. I got to, check this real fast and get out the way. And you just throw it out there. The person's screaming and hollering, ah. And imagine I look at you, Nadine, and I go, wow, are you okay? Are you constipated? Is that why you're so angry at me? I really don't know you. You see how you started laughing? Now if I was out in the public space, I might do that at you, and you probably would have stood back like, and then you thought about it like, shit, I might be. You know what I mean? You'll start laughing because you have a certain connection with yourself. But imagine the person that's really, really angry at the world and can be, triggered by any little thing that may approach them. Then no, that person may not. They might just flip you the F-bomb or call you an a-hole and walk away. Or it's the other ultimate one. They may not walk away. They may, really want to have. How would you say? How the kids say in Chicago and some places now, they really might want to get active. But what I find is if you ask a question like that, it diffuses the mind for that moment because it's such an odd question. Why are you concerned about my bowels at this moment? I've literally seen it stop people in their tracks and make them look. Like, wait a minute, and give you that eyeball that I did there. That eyeball be looking like that, but then the other one will be flatlined like this. Like, how when people trying to figure it out when they're looking at you? You know the look. Come on now. I've had people do it to me where they're like,
for sure,
that one eye, and then this other one is like this, like, excuse me? You see it? Hello? Oh, you see it? Is it me or you can't hear me? You still got sound, Nadine? What's going on?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I muted for a second. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't a fart.
Hmm. But yeah, when somebody gives you a weird look, like one eye is kind of half shut and the other one is wide open, like, what the? Are you
Uh-huh.
serious? Did you just say that to me? And it's like, yeah, I just said that to you. Now we have to deal with it as humans. You got to deal with that now. So it leads right into all of that is just to say is how do you use the arts to express your emotional states?
Yeah.
You know, that's why I haven't moved anywhere just yet with this because it's still symbols. This thing with symbols can
There's
go on and on and on.
yeah.
You know, but the main thing is just to get you to think about it. You know, what if I put a spoon in a brain?
Ooh.
Symbol of a brain. You see what I'm saying? What does that mean?
Wow.
What if I put the spoon through the brain?
Uh,
What would that mean visually? You see?
mhm.
So all things about symbology has transitioned into what we call emoticons, emojis, and icons.
Mhm.
You know, memes, gimps, you know what I mean? All these little small pictures that are going to describe a certain emotional state,
Mhm.
a certain symbol, two-dimensional symbol that describes a certain state of presence of being of mind or psychosis. Ooh, look at how we sound so important.
Ooh. Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Sorry for talking art.
go, I'm trying to tell you, but it's the basis of everything in society.
Mhm.
That's why sometimes when I talk like this, it's like it's not that I feel some type of way. I just can see it in people's faces. They'll start giving you that look like you think you know everything. But it's like, no, it's not a point of knowing everything and trying to be a know-it-all. It's just that where do your thoughts lead you?
Mhm.
You know, where do your observations
Yeah.
lead you at that point? So that when you go to your inner world, what we're talking about to be able to describe outward happening, you know what I mean? That was devastating. You know, how do
Mhm.
you connect so you can look at it and see it again? You know, because think
Yeah.
about it, whatever moment that transpired or is going through, it's not going to be the same tomorrow.
That is true.
You know, so you in any situation that you in, creatively speaking, you always have that opportunity to know that tomorrow is not going to be the same. It won't be, you're not going to wear the same clothes. You're not going to feel the same. Whoever and wherever the situations is going on is not going to be the same. The Hurricane Helena, she came through, and then the other guy came through, and then look,
Mhm.
now they're rebuilding, they're putting back together. It's not a consistent everyday hurricane.
Mhm.
The same type of hurricane every day, the same way.
Mhm.
No, nothing stays that way. Nothing does. So since nothing does, you have to embrace that idea. And how would you express it then?
Through art.
Right, but then how though? What type of symbol? You see how we use the clock there, the broken heart, yeah. But then now that's when we come back and we use different ideas based upon the symbols we made.
Mhm.
You know, now you lay them out. Where would you put the eyes at to express the idea of shock and awe? Who was
I got
shocked?
yeah.
Yeah, where was shock going on? How did that shock and awe look? Could you
Mhm.
express it by the dimensional drawings of just circles and lines and diagonal lines?
I don't know.
Yes, you can, because we all have to do it. That's
Mhm.
just what it is. we got general symbols that everybody as a human being connects to, but then you're gonna have intricate ones. Remember how I went back to that? This goes back to the idea when it came up in our conversation when we were talking about sign language.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
English or what's going on. Because if I'm from Japan, you're from America, somebody's from England, and somebody's from Africa, Ghana, Africa, and then somebody's from Brazil, how are they all able to still communicate?
Yeah, like applause.
Right. Exactly. You do that to anybody, they all know it. And they say, well, who's
Right.
she clapping at? They're looking around. Who you applauding? And then you would have to point and do the next level of it where you would point at me and do next language. Part of the yeah, there you go. You see? But then these are the things that we don't really look at and say, well, dang, you know what I mean? So that symbology is there are symbols that can be made that can be universal like that. Yeah, when you mix with a regular clock like how we're doing, what if we took the second hand and the hour hand off and put it on the side? You see what I'm saying? Like, and then just had the circle there, and then just dealt with those symbols, dealing with the concept of frozen time.
Yeah.
Because I know when I was in the room with my mom, what was the people told me it was like a good 10 minutes, but it felt like a half an hour. I ain't gonna lie, it felt like a half an hour. But because I wanted to look at all the records of everything. So when I got that opportunity to see that, because they saw that I was in the Marine Corps, and a lot of people are in the service and they have respect for people that's prior service.
Sure.
So they weren't supposed to. They didn't have to let me see that information, but it was about 10 minutes from the call. And then they heard me in the background, and the lady was listening. I didn't even listen to the lady no more because she wasn't telling me anything that was going to be helpful. So I stayed plugged in and trying to do the CPR. So that's why timing would be a big thing for me. You know what I mean? What's the time for CPR? You know what I mean? What's the rhythm pump? Well, I didn't have to do that. You just continuously pump. And then you can stop and get a breath. See what happens. Tilt the body to the side, to the left side mainly. Try to clear the passageway and do it again. Yeah. But then what would that mean visually speaking? How would we express that idea? Well, we could put a symbol of a hand, right? Like, watch, I can do this. I can go put a symbol of a hand. Or like that, right? And then I can put 5. And I can do it again, put the same hand again. Maybe clean it up this time. Put 20. What could that be saying to a person? What would that be saying to you, Nadine?
I don't know. It's 5:20. It was a time.
It's a hand.
It's a hand.
Right. So I can just put a bunch of hands there. Besides, there's
1,
5
2,
little
3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
And then I put, how would you say? Let's play with the idea a little bit more. Let's say I put a heart right here. And then put 5 in it. And then put a line going this way to say, what could that mean?
That's really making me think.
But that's the whole key. What do symbols do when you let them out? When they're external from you, you're able to deal with them now. You're able to look at them. That's the beauty of art. What's the idea behind a voodoo doll? Think about it. It's a piece of art, right?
It is a piece of art.
Yes, but it's taking on a persona of whatever is causing you the issue or whatever you want to bring the issue to.
I stay away
So
from
it's
it.
still using art. It's
Yeah.
still using art
Yes.
to
Yes.
rectify or resolve the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, I'm just here just to point out these places where art is being used. That's it. If everybody wants to argue that, then that's more room for you to leave us a message to say,
We want to hear
wow,
from you.
yeah, maybe you're a psychologist on the side. Maybe you have difference of what we're saying. I'm willing to talk about it if you are,
Mm-hmm.
because it's interesting to me. How do you resolve the emotional or mental state of human beings at this stage in the game?
Mm-hmm.
I say art is the number one. It always will be,
Mm-hmm.
you know, always will be number one with getting the human being to reconnect with themselves in the everyday. Because once you get things outside of you, now you can deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in the room with most of the elders, our society says so much that you have to be perfect and right, that's the main thing we're fighting against.
Mm-hmm.
Because now when you get to stages where you're over 70, you start having these thoughts from what I've seen, like you're in the way.
Yeah.
And now you're rushing yourself for no reason because you're trying to do what you think is get out the way.
Mm-hmm.
I show them that no, you don't get out the way.
Mm-hmm.
You stay there and you have your conversation because everything that made you made this point, made this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that made you who you are to get to 100 years old
Mm-hmm.
is still viable and current to this day right now. Whether they use the same lingo or not is not the issue. You just got to figure out how the lingo's transition from what you used to use it as and what's
Mm-hmm.
it used in the new.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, we can look at the drug game for that. What's free base and crack? It's pretty much the same thing. You know what I mean?
If you
I'm
lean
being
into one
honest.
side.
Yeah, but what I'm saying as the product is concerned, they 70s, they would call it one thing, and then it got
Yeah.
to the point where they would call it crack. And then
Mm-hmm.
now they're calling it crack still, but then they're calling something else that they used to call, freebase. Now they're
Mm-hmm.
calling it something else. So that's why I bring that up with people that have Alzheimer's or dementia. I play those type of visual symbolic games, whereas we're drawing out things that may be associated. Like, what does a pumpkin look like? So you can't tell me you can't. Like, so then a lot of people, they'll try to tell you, oh, I can't draw a pumpkin. But you're like, well, come on now. How many pumpkins have you seen in your life?
Right.
How many variations of a pumpkin? How could there
Mm-hmm.
be the right pumpkin?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? There is no right pumpkin. There is no right watermelon, right
Mm-hmm.
shape for the watermelon. You see what I'm saying? These are things where
Yeah.
talk to somebody that has dementia or something like this, and then you
Mm-hmm.
sit down in session with them to try to bring back thought or to see how much memory has been damaged.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you're assessing the hand and eye coordination. Can that hand stone with the mind to bring
Mm-hmm.
forth what it is in clarity, including signing the name, the very thing that they think is nonsensical to be able to sign your name to that.
Yeah.
But
Just
what I found is if you have somebody with dementia or
mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's, to sign their name is very important.
Yeah.
So that they can sign their name in a tight group that lets you know the mind and the hand and the motor skills is working. Now, when
Mm-hmm.
it starts spacing itself out,
Mm-hmm.
say for instance, one day, Nadine, you ask me, we get real big, and you say, Don, we did it, man. Big time now. You're gonna have to sign this contract. Can you see this line down here, Nadine?
Yep.
Okay, you just Don, you have to sign that contract. And what
Mm-hmm.
if I sign my name like this, Nadine?
You would be a doctor.
No, that can be me. It's so spaced out. Cause like, look, This is
Yeah.
how I normally sign. If I normally sign it, all right. But then now what I'm saying is this signature, what if I put the D out here and it's real shaky,
Okay.
right?
I see what you're
And
saying.
now I separate the S from the T and the P. And then I start to drift down here and then I'll put ENS. And the N and the S don't look like it's really connecting like what's there.
Okay.
And the last time you see me was about a week ago. I signed like this. And then all of a sudden I'm signing like this.
There's an issue.
Has to be. There is no way. It's either the meds I'm taking is doing something, or I had another little stroke. Something went down to make me space my name out like that.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying, the power of signing your name, because it can let everybody around you know where you may be at in your mind, where your physical abilities may be. Sometimes people, they get to a point where I question if it's they can't raise their hands or if they decided to not raise their hands no more.
Oh.
And that's how I'm able through the art be able to figure that out with a person. You know, and the main thing is that none of this can be, everything we just did, it can be observed, it can't be judged. It can be analyzed, it can't be judged. You can scrutinize over it, but the way you scrutinize, you're not looking for a perfect idea or a perfect state. You're looking at the way that particular individual connects with their emotions so that when you look at the page, you know where they're at or what they may be saying. Are there generalizations that we do to get these things out? Yes, every human being does generalized things. That's why people are shocked when I'm able to look at certain things they do. You really saw that? Like one little girl recently, she did a picture of a dog, but the dog looked like a real giraffe. But I knew by the way she was talking and in the way she drew it that it was a dog. It wasn't a giraffe. So we had the best connection because she realized that I could see. So when you realize you can see like that, people enjoy you because now they know you're not really judging them. You're really looking to try to understand what they do. Or what a person has. Right, which is nothing more than leading straight inside of them, the inner verse of what they are. And how you translate the world, that lets me know. If everything's an emotional killer, then I have to question your bubble that you came in. That means that everything is tragic in your bubble to the point where everything is life and death. You know, now some people in prison that I've dealt with, they thought that their lives was really life and death. Like I was like, no, not every human being. After the 1900s, every human being's life is not all about life and death. No, you know what I mean? That stopped once you have industrialized societies, really, in that way. I'm not worried if I had a swarm of locusts, if I had some insects that came and ate my orchard. And now at the end of the season or next season, I'm not gonna have no trees and I'm devastated. You know what I mean?
Right.
But in the industrial age, you know, in the globalist age, even more so with GMOs, are we really, really,
Yeah.
you know, they're not worried about a swarm of locusts coming through and eating the peninsula of Florida's citrus and everything. And you know, I just say to people, ask yourself about that. You know, what a beautiful and wicked thing that could be to think. And it's neither wrong nor right. It's just what it is.
It's just what it is.
So it makes you look at what emotions are to be able to put. You can see how it can be a generalized one, but then there has to be an individualized thing. You know what I mean? Whereas now we're talking emotional or emoticons, icons now, you know what I mean? Logos, you know. That's why a lot of times the kids, I say to them, all right, you know, we want to make logos. So let's everybody make a logo for an emotion.
Ooh, that's a good
Right
one.
now, just pick an emotion that you're going through right now, right off the top of your head, and you just go into it. Or you go you know, the 5 states of being, you know, happy, mad, sad, you know, angry, you know what I mean? And you get the person or the individual to work through that. Like the reason why I don't mind sharing it is because it's not something that I made up and then if I give it away, I'm not going to eat. It's like, nah, it's no real, how would you say, set template that you can use with this idea with yourself or with individuals or with another individual to resolve emotional states. It's just an act of doing, you know?
Which is what we're trying to get our viewers who are watching right now to do, including liking this video right now. Please help us with the algorithm. Like this video right now, because we're making something from nothing.
Right. All we was talking about recently now is just how you would make a catalog of symbols that express your emotions. So that when you go to want to deal with your emotional states in your book or in your drawing book, you have symbols that you have a catalog of that you can place in different ways or scenarios to express how you felt to be able to deal with it. The main one is broken heart. Everybody has a broken heart. You try to say as a human being, you don't have to deal with a broken heart. I look at you and say, I feel for you if you haven't already. You know what I mean? If you hit 50, you ain't had to deal with a broken heart. Ooh, man, I feel for you because that first time you get that broken heart, you're going to go all the way back to you like 10 to try to figure out when the first time your heart was broken. It may lead you back to your parent taking your favorite thing away from you. I'm being honest. That's, you know what I mean? But think about it, you know, anything that everybody has to deal with as a human being, no matter what the language is, you have to deal with states of your heart. That means every class that I have, when I have like that, and I have to connect with the crowd that way, that's a no-brainer. It's a killer. A lot of people say, yo, Don, you shouldn't give them. I say, I'm not giving anything away. If you think about it, if instructors and therapists really thought about it, that's the universal aspect.
Right.
You know, we all have to deal with death. How are you going to deal with it? You know, what symbols can you put down? The word death. You know what I mean? You know, how do you deal with that? How are you going to prevent it? How do you deal with the idea of rejuvenation? Especially when people are going through ailments and they feel as if, you know, nothing can be done. But wait a minute, let's look at it. You got a scratch on your finger. Did that finger heal? Yeah, when the last time you had that scratch? I got it 2 days ago. And you got a scab on it? Yeah. Wait a minute, man. We got a possibility. That's rejuvenation of cells. That doesn't just happen in one space and place. That means that if you get a cut or a paper cut on your finger and that finger is keloids over what we call a scab, then that means anything in your body has the possibility of rejuvenating itself. And just because of that possibility alone, that's what you have to key in on. The other one is if it's pain there, that means you're still living.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not going to feel nothing if you're gone. We don't know that. Nobody has come back and said, this is how you feel when you're gone. No, you're gone. Animation is gone. Body is gray, whether you're black, white, Chinese, whatever, your body goes pale. It goes to an offshoot of white, what you call gray. And that's how you get all those alternative colors we talk about. And that's the confusion with the color white and black and everything, you know. White at one point, if you go back in time, you know, before the 1400s, it was seen as death. And darkness and black was seen as what? Life.
Life, yeah.
Because
and then it flipped.
Yeah, but if you look at the states of being, like when things have life in it, is what? It's darker, it's richer.
Right.
But then when things are dead or have death, they go what way? You ever look at a body before a mortician puts makeup on the face? If you ever had that opportunity to be observe a person or observe a body, Yeah, it's all just like how you see in the movie. It's very pale. People with pigmentation turn like a funny looking gray color. People that are paler, more light skinned, they really, really turn to looking like real like grayish color. Lips turn gray and everything. Especially when there's no more liquid in the body.
Blood, fluid.
Yeah. Everything is flush, everything is a grayish white. So it makes you look at these type of ideas and things, and then you say to yourself, well, how can I express that for myself based upon realities? What symbols can I make? You know, if it's an ailment, could I make this is how some kids, when I did the cartoon classes for these type of kids that had issues like that, we would make the ailment either the bad guy or part of the core in their comic book. So then how would certain ideas of an ailment look then, based upon what you have? How do you see it as a supervillain? Does it have two heads? You know, things like that. I've had it where I had a kid have like how you have you remember the conversations with the vampire?
Yeah.
I had a kid in the hospital that when I did sessions with him, he took his ailment and did that with his ailment as a cartoon to have a conversation with his ailment.
Wow.
Yeah, that's deep. But it was good though, good for him, good for his parents and everything, because he got to have a discourse with something that he couldn't see, but he can feel. Like a lot of times, that's what the issue is, that the person is confused, but I can't see it, I don't, what is it I'm confronting? And then when you use art and you make a piece of sculpture out of it, out of clay or out of styrofoam or out of aluminum foil, and you address the name to it, that's what voodoo dolls are too as well. I take some aluminum foil and I make an aluminum character that's going through the emotion that I'm going through, and then I throw the name on that aluminum character. Well, they've done studies about that stuff too, and they said how, you know, even those type of thoughts and things like that help the individual to go to a more harmonic state of being, a more balanced being of what we're trying to get back to.
It's just like burning, like writing something down and then burning it.
Right. Yeah, it all fits into that realm. And it doesn't mean that, oh, this is absolutely going to happen. No, but you're able to deal with it. That's what the art helps you to do. It helps you to get it outside of self, so you have something that you can look at, tangible, 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional, where you can deal with it, work it out, you know. Because I had an argument with a songwriter. I said, man, before the song even gets written down, you've seen it as images in your head, right? So that means you're a visual artist first before you start writing down notes. Now, when you write the notes down, don't those notes represent certain things? Aren't they symbols for certain things that you're expressing physically? Then guess what? That's drawing, my friend. So before you even get to the notion of, you know, translating the song, you have passed through my realm to get to where you're at. Yeah, sure, you may hear it and everything, but the tangibility of it is still all one. You need the visual arts. You need to get it out some type of way to see it. So you can assess it, so you can move it around, you know? How do you think most of our world got to where it is today? Heck, why does
Everything
everybody
had to be mapped out.
Right, heck, why does everybody try to translate old stones and texts and papyri and ceramic bowls that you have to roll out because the note is on the bowl and carved in the bowl? So now you got to put ink or something on the outside of the bowl and then roll it on a piece of paper, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know what I mean? Now you got to burn it or something to see it for a brief moment. And then now it's written in some ancient language that you ain't never seen, or it was written backwards like so many different scientists could do, making their own cuneiform. You know what I mean? Come on. It's like it's endless what you can do with this idea that we're talking about. Think about your your maps and how you used to have to pull out a map. You would have to understand what a map looked like and what a road looked like, and what those lines and colors meant. And you would have a marker on the side that'll tell you what these things meant. So then, oh, okay, I just drove by. I was on a highway. Oh, I was on a byway. Oh, I was on a state highway because it's a certain triangle or it's a certain diamond shape that represents that particular side of the region that you're on or the nation that you're in. It's endless. It's symbols for
it's
everything.
endless. You know what? I had purchased the U.S. What do you call it? National and State Park map book.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Oh my God, the icons, the symbols on there from like, this is where it's a dumping station, which is important.
Yeah, all of that.
Oh, tents, primitive camping,
where you can't camp, fishing, non-fishing areas, all of that.
Dotted lines, all kinds of dashed lines, all of those things are in there that you look at to say, oh, this is a railroad. Oh, this is a highway. And then the colors. Oh my goodness.
It has to be a lake or something. It's blue.
Right?
Yeah.
And then terrain, how they represent the raising of terrain. Like, okay, this is mountainous, a hills.
Yeah, see, old school, you didn't really have to worry about that if you pulled out that map out of your glove compartment, the elevations. You didn't have that.
Didn't have to.
Now you do with your phone, you know what I mean? It'll tell you the elevation because when I'm riding my bike, I look for the best route.
Because you don't want to be riding up a hill.
You don't want to be caught in a Manayunk situation. And everybody, if you know what Manayunk is, where the wall is, they call it when they're having the different tour bikes, the bike tours out here, and they come to Philly.
Yep.
Just think about that. That's something you can come out here on a visit and ride just by yourself. Rent a bike and try to ride the wall by yourself.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
You'll see. And you'll see like how I saw. You'll blow your heart up trying to do it.
Or it's mess up your. I messed up my Achilles tendon over in Roxborough on a bike. Right near the.
Out on the 60 and the 61 over on that end. And I believe the 50 something, 54 or something like that, I would get on off of Germantown Ave. Because I tried to ride out, that hill was a killer, man. I was like, oh, no, that's why you would get the electric bike now. Everybody that's got an electric bike is killing that hill or electric scooter.
Yeah.
As long as you have the torque speed and everything. Nonetheless, you get back to what we're talking about, everybody. You have a symbol for everything.
Everything. So real quick, I know this is not a private lesson. We're just kind of getting people excited and interested in signing up for our courses or private lessons with you. What would be the next step after creating a symbol chart like what we did here?
Well, the next thing will be is taking your symbols and then using them. So like, look, we still, what is 7:48 watch. The last 10 minutes, I'm going to rinse off what's there. And I'm going to use just some of the symbols that I remember with the ones that's on the side over here.
Right.
Just so you can know. So now, what are we trying to describe? What am I trying to describe? Okay. I'll go this way. Let's get this out the way. And I'll say, I'll go here first. I'll go 20, 1, 0, 25, 01. Then I'll put 2 eyeballs here. What could that tell you already? That on that date, there's a lot of stressing going on this date. And then how can we show that it was an imbalanced state? Well, I can take the idea of Librian and put the scale on its side for imbalanced time. It's a rocky time.
Rocky time.
That day, A was unbalanced. So this looked that day. And that's how the eyelids look. Stress. You see? Now what else was going on? Well, he was having eggs. Bacon. Grits. So I would put a bowl for grits. And I can say Domingo, which is what?
Sunday.
All right. So we was having Sunday morning breakfast. You see? Now I can start to say what would that say to you?
Oh, wow. Let's see. Your hands were on the heart. Let's see. That's deep.
And then what could that be saying to you?
Wow. A change of emotions.
And I go here and do this again.
Wow.
And then now, for the final part, I do a square, what looks like a window open. have what looks like curtains blowing in the wind. What am I saying now?
Wow. Oh.
You see?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, symbol of a window and a couple of arrows pointing.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, wow, it doesn't have to be nothing too deep. It doesn't have to be this high, beautiful, or glamorized thing in reality and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you have different forms of art that do different things where people just jotted down things like this.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. And that was only a few minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
You
I
know?
just keep saying, wow.
I can pull this in to say that this date stir my pot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, did that date stir my pot? Stir my emotion. And then I can go loss. You see what happens? Now I can put an arrow that comes here and then goes here. Now I can put another symbol here, put and then put the 9 on the outside. What could that mean? What does that mean? That something happened at 9 o'clock that made this happen.
Mm-hmm.
You see, which made this start to happen. Which went to this state here, which inevitably went here. And now we had to open the window.
Wow.
Because if you do the study, if somebody transitions in a room or space or place, you're supposed to open the window to have the soul have an opportunity to leave the space.
Right.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one way symbolically that you can deal with something that you went through. Which was that right there was me just describing symbolically what happened on that day.
Mm. Wow. Y'all, Don took us there. Did you get that?
Mm-hmm. So we tied in the whole thing about my conversation so you can use my experience and see, is that one way you can use it? Now, I did highly illustrative pieces where you actually can see different things, but if you were talking about how you was talking, Nadine, something from nothing, it can be a highly developed thing, or it can be an idea of symbolic. Symbolic. You know, can you recall the way some things looked? What happened on Earth? What day did it occur on? You see, time of the day, 150 pumps.
Wow.
Things still went down.
Mm-hmm.
The eye started off at one state right there at the left, got that way in the middle, and then occurring transition, the eyes went spastic.
Wow.
You know, I could take it further, put lungs and different body parts in different positions to say what failed to make the eyes do that. I did
Mm-hmm.
that though. But for our situation here now, no, it's
Mm-hmm.
just to give you the idea. It could go even deeper than that, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a beautiful drawing. I did a beautiful drawing one time of it, and people still couldn't take the drawing. They were like, "No, don't show that, man. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
people can take that."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yeah, I understand. Maybe one day, but right now, nah, it's still for me." And
Mm-hmm.
the person I showed it to, I said, "I thought you could handle it, but I guess not." You know what I mean? So,
Right.
right. So it's just another way of you being able to deal with an emotional state or being able to observe when somebody may be going through an emotional state,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I
It
could put the
is.
question mark.
Mhm. And what's that?
Then
You
I
could
could
put
put
the question?
the question mark over the pot,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Did that really stir my emotion? What was really stirring emotions on that day? The eyes that I was seeing,
Mm-hmm.
the act,
Mm-hmm.
the day, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Why is that Libra sign there for that day?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, Libra is the scales, but you're dealing with a Libra. My mom was a Libra too as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the 15th, mine's on the 17th. So, but to show an imbalance in the day, you can take that same thing, the idea of the scales, Librian scales,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and when things are not in balance, it's what one side is higher than the other.
Yeah.
So it's not on balanced ground. So it was an imbalanced day, unbalanced day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Could you take that idea further? Sure, everybody, you can take that idea further. But this
Mm-hmm.
is just to show you how you can take an emotion or a happening or an experience and make
Mm-hmm.
symbols for that experience so you can be able to look at it to get it out,
Mm-hmm.
to observe your own occurrence to see if you can resolve it within self first,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that
Wow.
goes with that goes with individuals that think that, oh man, I couldn't help, whatever I was doing didn't help the situation. Well, you
Mm-hmm.
don't know necessarily. It may not have resolved that state of being, but it may
Mm-hmm.
have helped soothe in other ways that you're not observing.
Mm-hmm.
Your action, your movements, your thoughts. That's
Mm-hmm.
another one I had to look at because I still, even though all that transpired, I still made her comfortable because I didn't show the state of blissful happiness she had right before the eyes went spastic.
Okay.
You see? So those moments like that, these are things that, well, how do you know you didn't help in the situation where I was like, well, you know what I mean? I'm going, but at
Mm-hmm.
least I'm with who I love. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe
Yeah.
just your presence being in the situation is healing enough. And maybe that's outside of what you tangibly can do, but
Mm-hmm.
just the act of camaraderie or love or community like that does a lot of powerful things. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have to take that as being what it was. If you can see that your actions was that. Because a lot of times it's hard when you want to resolve the situation, heal the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But your tactical ways may not be the real true thing that helps. It may just be your presence.
Yeah.
Just your
Presence is,
presence.
yeah,
The
is
person just
important.
knowing that individual that loves and cares for them is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and then you still can use the art to express that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not only do you have to subscribe symbols to all the wonderful, beautiful things and all the things you want and you aspire for, and the material things, a shiny car, and you would do a shiny car icon, and
Mm-hmm.
I've had people do those things like it's nothing, As soon as you go on over to that other part of the emotional scale, that's when it gets rough. Nobody doesn't really want to talk about that. But then that's when I come in handy. Yeah, that's when I come in handy.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. I get you to bring it out in art because that's your
Mhm.
safe zone. That's what a lot of
Mhm.
people don't know. When you're able to let this stuff out in art, you can really save yourself.
Mhm.
Because it's not about everybody else at that point. It's particularly about you and your emotions and how you're feeling, not about how everybody else is feeling. It's about you,
Mhm.
your observations of what's transpiring. Look at Frida Kahlo's pieces.
Mhm.
When she did the pieces of her um, in her abortion.
Yeah, that's a, yep.
I mean, that's one that really stands out outside of the accident itself when she was doing the operation
Oh yeah.
and what was going through during the operation after she got hit by a truck or something or a bus or
Mm,
something.
something. I think, was it a bus?
It was something like that. She got
Mhm.
hit by, but then that's what brought in and then you see the drawings from that.
Mhm.
But she's really reliving that experience to be able to resolve it within herself, to be able to
Yeah.
look at her loss.
Mhm.
And just being able to do that, you guys, it helps you a whole lot more than you think.
Yeah.
And she wasn't trying to show the pieces. It's just that you're around a certain clique of individuals. Diego
Mhm.
Rivera is your husband. You're hanging
Right.
around prolific people.
You have
You're
no
prolific.
choice.
Yeah, you're prolific, meaning Frida Kahlo, she was a prolific and polarizing
Mhm.
individual in personality. So yeah,
Mhm.
she's going to be attractive to people too as well.
Mhm.
So all of that works hands in hand, and you're in the environment. So that now she didn't want to show them, but what happened? The intrigue and the power of the expression of being able to reveal oneself on the
Mhm.
canvas like that, be able to see it, to explore it, to understand it, and then for others to partake in it. Wow,
Mhm.
you know, that's why I say people now they want to hear background and story. It's like sometimes you don't want to hear all the fluff and everything. You just want to hear, hey, the realities of the situation.
Right.
So, nowadays you get a lot of people where you can hear it almost like they're fabricating the story to you.
Mhm.
Whereas
Mhm.
Gallo, if you look at that, there was no faking in that.
Right.
She's giving point by point, the color, what
The
happened.
real deal.
Yeah, how it felt to be in the bed, how it
Mhm.
felt to be in this contraption that her bones are broken in all these different places. Now she's got the halo on and she's got nuts and butts and screws and rods.
Yeah.
Explaining that whole idea, how that felt to be in that state,
Mhm.
just by looking at it.
Brokenheartedness.
Yeah, all of that. Think about the painting she did, because
Mhm.
that's why everybody really admires her because of that aspect.
Mhm.
And she was able to relay her story on canvas in a way that at that point really wasn't seen, that personalized, and then done on such a small format. These are not huge paintings we're talking about,
Mhm.
like the pop artists and stuff like that. These are small, intimate pieces, pretty much like early Christian work, monk work, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Where they've done in these small pieces, mainly because it's easy for you to snatch and get away with and tuck that away and put it in spaces and places where people can't find it. So, miniatures as they call them now.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's why miniatures are so important. So when you see galleries or big time galleries or museums in areas or in spaces, especially when you go on certain trips, Nadine, just look in certain spaces and see if they have
Mhm.
miniature work, different work that's, because then you'll understand the whole other aspect of what art is. Like, oh, so art is not, you know, just for pleasure.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people nowadays just think it's for pleasure, recreation,
Mhm.
something of the rich. It's like, no. expression is for the everyday. That's how you decorate your house. But outside of that, this is where all your symbols and languages and ideas of languages come from.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a certain happening. You know what I mean? And then if I point, like how I did from those eyes, and then point through that window, I don't care what language you're speaking, you're gonna look and say, ooh, just like how you did. You went, ooh.
Ooh, what's going on there?
Yeah, and what could that mean? And if you understand, how would you say, spiritual and religious ideas about what spirit is, or what that essence of spirit is, or mind is, and things like this, then you'll understand that I'm trying to say that that spirit is an energy, and that energy needs to given the permission to leave. Now, whether or not be opening the window or learning from, studying or observe different phenomena, it don't really work. But, nonetheless, that's what it is. It was told to me, and you read certain places. It doesn't matter what biblical text it says to you, if it's in an enclosed environment, open it up so that the spirit has an opportunity to lead. I had a debate with somebody younger. They said, well, how come you don't know it's like a ghost? And the little kid was like, it could be like a ghost. And it could get out the walls by itself. But then, you know what I mean? You see where the mind is, but you still got to talk about it. You can't be so arrogant and say, oh, what are you talking about? Spirit. You can't say it. It's like, well, you got a point there. It could be like that, where matter doesn't really matter to the spirit when it's outside. When that energy is outside of the form, it may not need to adhere to third dimension idea of that. So I can't go into somebody that's not. The wall doesn't exist. You know that though. So I go with my human emotions and me, and from what I studied, what made me feel good, open up all the windows in the room.
Yeah.
Only one paragraph what I was doing. Yeah. And even the nurses. I went to the emergency room, and they you in the room, with the body, and then the nurse comes in, and that's when they start wanting to cry and talk. There was no crying, My thing was, was everything done? And the nurses, I said, the hug and all of that, was everything done that could possibly have been done by my hand. And that's when she couldn't take it. I was straightforward for her. The doctor came in.
Yeah.
Mid-age, stronger white guy. And he knew what I wanted. And when he said it, that's when I let go. I just, not collapsed, but you saw my body. And they jumped out like I was about to, fall out. No, I just let off the stress. Like, okay, I did do everything that I could do. Oh, okay. All right. So it's not my fault. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you couldn't resolve something, now you start taking on, the error. Now you're thinking it's because of something you may have done.
Yeah.
They said I didn't even break a rib with all that commotion. That's how good I was with it. Because normally you would break the floating rib.
Okay.
And the person would have to heal up off the rib, but you're still living. You know what I mean? They said, no, I was doing it so efficient. That's why I was able to get her back one last time before the paramedics got there. That's why I thought the paramedics would be able to do something. But
Right.
you can see. And a lot of times people say you can't see when death is there. No, you can see it. You can see it. There was more that goes with this colors. You can talk about the colors of a situation, the colors of a habit. You know what I mean? What colors did you feel? And you can do something with that, where it can be formless at that point. It can just be the colors, like a color field paint. You just taking all the colors that was in that atmosphere or in your emotional state at that time. And you just using the color. Nothing identified, just the colors. I've done that. That's done wonders. Because
Mm-hmm.
now when they get the colors out of what the trauma may be, now you say
Mm-hmm.
to them, well, how are you going to make these colors pure?
Okay.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
how are you going to take these muted colors that you have here and now not clean them, but make them pure, make them more clear, make the emotion clear to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's a dirty orange there, how can we make that orange more brilliant so
Mm-hmm.
that it'll change this emotional state?
Mm-hmm.
Because what you'll find is people will do muddy and muted colors to show a downtrodden emotional state.
Right.
So then the challenge is okay, how can I get you to see purity then?
Mm-hmm.
And how can we get you to see that that state of purity could be the state of transition of that emotion? Not that it was wrong or the dullness was wrong and the brilliance is right now. No, it's like, you know, how do you take that color which states that emotion to another state?
Taking it to another state. Wow.
That means that if you use the idea of purity, then how are you going to saturate that color to bring it to a pure state, a state that is untainted, untouched? Take it back to the state that what it was. You see what I'm getting you to do then at that point? I'm getting you to think about how could I take my emotional state back to my pure state when I was untouched by the matter. You see what I'm saying? Because something made the colors impure. So if something made the colors impure, how are we going to get purity back?
Oh, Don, you just dropped the knowledge.
But these are the things that happens in classes and stuff, you know, Nadine, honestly, and it really truly does help. That's why I'm always a believer in the arts as being helpful, especially the visual art being the glue. Because now, you know, if we just talked about this in a matter of, say, for instance, this is product developing,
Right.
and we wanted to develop a product, we would have to do the same thing with the product. Now, what are the usages of the product? And we're doing loose drawings based upon what that product is, based upon the manuscript that's handed down to you from your director.
Right.
And then now you're taking that and you're putting that through some type of symbolic run through, and then you come back and you run it down on the director and they say yay or nay. But it's still taking something and transposing it and making it into something that's visual, that you can see. And then now you can deal with it in any which way that you can. There is no one right way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you going to deal with that fact, you know? You know, talking about color theory, you know, you have colors that are what interfere, that are saturated, you know. Through that interference, somebody might be drawing using yellow, and then they don't want yellow to be brilliant because the day is not light, the sky is not, you know, pretty no more. So what they may do, take a black crown and go over top of it, right? Or try to mix black to yellow, and you get this eerie looking green look. But nonetheless, what is the person saying to you about yellow? When it's in its muted state. If it's in a muted state, they're saying that something has to be emotional. Everybody I've dealt with, for something to be really like happy and exhilarating, the color is at its purest state that they can get it in, straight from that one crown.
Right.
They'll get mad if you put another color in and around that color. Don't do
Don't
that.
mess with
Why?
my color. Don't mess with my color.
That's the pure state. That's pure. That's my pure emotion. That's I've had people snap out like that. And then I come in and get them back because another instructor or therapist didn't understand that and they had another mission or another modality for the IEP. No, I'm just throwing certain lingo out there so you guys can know that I actually was in the environment. And I'm actually really telling you how I apply this stuff.
And I will.
No, go for it.
And I wanted to let everyone know that if you're interested and gaining more knowledge and being able to sit down with Don, whether you're in the local area, Philadelphia, mostly Philadelphia, right? You have your classes and
Oh, we do it on the phone too as well. So I do Google Chats and I do, you
mhm,
know, the free part of what you call it of Zoom, where you can do a
mhm,
one-on-one with the person. I'll do
mhm,
it Facebook Live or Instagram, you know,
mhm,
Messenger chat, video
mhm,
live. Then the
right.
person pays Venmo or Zelle or
Mhm.
PayPal. You know what I mean?
Yep,
And
and
then
that it and so there are different ways. So Don is really he has various ways that you can pay for the classes if it's one-on-one. In terms of group sessions, we've actually put together some courses that are online. You can support us via Patreon and or you can purchase certain series that I'm actually working on gathering and putting them together. We have 3 that we're working on now that is available. But I tend to think that the one that is better and you get more bang for the buck and you can pay all along is the Patreon. Um, and if it's a group setting, by far the best thing is to interact with Don one on one, like we're here and asking questions and things like that, talking about life and taking that process, working out, getting the purity of the color, you know, he's walking alongside of you on your journey. To do something like start with a symbol chart like this is mine, y'all.
it
This
depends
is
upon how you want the session though. Like if it's a
yeah,
session like that, then that's different than like an instructional.
right. And
You know,
he's giving clarity to that.
right,
Um,
right. So it's like it depends upon what
mhm,
it is that you wanting from your sessions.
mhm,
You know what I mean? You want to work where you connect with your emotions, and then your emotions is where you want to connect with your paintings. Then yeah, I'm not going to talk to you about formal, really a whole bunch of formal ideas. I'm going to talk to you more so about the transmutative and transformative ideas. You
mhm,
know, ideas of the loose or the figurative or the gestural,
mhm,
you see. So where perfection is nothing big for you. But if you want a real instructional class where you're learning figure drawing, where you're
mhm,
learning still life, where you're learning, objectional, observable, landscape, still life, figure drawing, then
mhm,
yeah, I have modalities for that too. And you can have it for in any material you want. The only one that we're not doing live through me is sculpting. That's the only
yes,
one I would rather deal with people in person.
yeah,
So,
that's hard.
sculpting,
Mhm,
everything else in the plastics, yeah, we're
mhm,
dealing with.
mhm.
You know what I
And I
mean?
and so I want to let everyone know that I did put the links in the chat as well. If you're not a member and you're like, oh, listen, I don't want to be a Facebook member, but I want to sign up for the course. The link is in
Oh,
in
there's
the
one more
chat
too.
section.
There's another one too. This is like a lot of people don't think about that. I know we're catering to the elders or the people that's over 50, but say for instance, somebody that wants to get into art school.
Mhm.
So I do portfolio coaching too as well.
That, yeah, and you actually have discussed that,
Yeah,
preparing students for that. It could be kids in high school or
college.
prepare
Could be
and
somebody
college.
transferring. It could be
Yes.
somebody transferring from one college to another. And they have to show a
Hmm.
portfolio.
Yes.
It could be somebody trying to get a position with a certain illustration house or something like this, and they have
Hmm.
to get their portfolio together for that to
Yes.
show in a position. I've done
Hmm.
coaching for that as well.
Yes.
So if you need any type of portfolio work, you know
Hmm.
what I mean, all the way to going to art school, transferring art schools, or trying to show your work to somebody, then give me a call, everybody, and I can
Right.
help you with that and get you a hot 20, as we call it.
There you go. So listen, don't waste this resource. Don is a great resource for getting you to that next level, whatever direction you're going in your art experience. Check out Don. reach out.
About getting schools together, everybody. I'm not gonna say I have connects for everybody to get and do and be the top of their bubble. No, I'm talking more so about the holistic aspect of your skills and you as a being connected with your skills in the terrain that you're in and where you can take that out in the system.
So, and we are here doing what we're doing here because we want to get you to create and create things like the Frankenstein there.
Just remember the story of Frankenstein, everybody. Imagine if Frankenstein had to draw out his experience and what he went through. So we started our conversation with that idea of this tormented soul, you know what I mean? And what would happen if he had to describe that symbolically? So just think about that for yourselves, everybody. How would you describe your world symbolically, whether good, bad, or indifferent? You know what I mean? To assist you to get by things or to get in touch with things more in your life. Yeah, that's where I'll lay my plane at, everybody.
There you go. He's landed in the plane. Well, everyone, I am in Jersey. Don's in PA. But we wanted to come to you and we wanted to continue to inspire, keep creating, everybody. It's not recreational. It's the everyday. You keep creating. All right, everybody, take it easy and have a great start of the new week. Take care, fam. See you soon.